Hello everyone, I am Ritika and today I am going to share you my demographic notes. It is a short note and in this note I am going to cover some topics of demography. So let's start. So demography is the empirical, statistical and mathematical study of human population. It includes change in population size, growth or decline. Demography is the study of size, territorial distribution, and composition of population. So, so any change in a population and the study of those changes is a demography and population study. Cohort, a group of people possessing a common temporal demographic experiences who are observed through time. That is all. Like suppose some all the people who are born in 2001 comes under one cohort. Demographic process. The demographic process is a sequence of changes that occur in a population due to the interplay of demographic events. Uh, Child woman ratio, number of children 0 to 4 by number of female population age 15 to 44 multiply by 100. Population density is a ratio that compares the total population of a place to its total area, that is the population per unit of land area. Age-sex structure. It refers to the composition of a population as determined by the number of proportion of males and females in its age group. Population pyramid. A population pyramid for a particular country represents the demographic history of that country over the past few generations. So this is the population pyramid. You can read from here. Dependency ratio is the population under 15, population under 15 and plus population over 65 divided by population from 15 to 65, like all the working population. So all the dependent population in the numerator and denominator all the working age population. 15 to 65 comes under the working age and below 15 and above 65 comes under dependent comes in dependent population. So measuring dependency ratio is also helpful in making policies for for the welfare of these people. Like if government want to do something for elderly people, like geriatric care बोलते हैं, geriatric care. So for elderly people this comes under that. For that it is very important to have knowledge about the dependency ratio and all. And dependent population is like a burden kind of thing. No, it it only independent population helps in uh, national progress. Uh, so yeah. Doubling time, the number of years required for a population of an area to double its present size. Formula for this is time 17 time equal to 17 by r is the formula, and this is also the formula. Population momentum, the tendency for a population to uh, grow beyond its the tendency for population growth to continue beyond the time at which replacement level had been achieved. So the tendency of population to grow even after the replacement level has been achieved. Uh, Replacement level is 2.1, we all know. So replacement level means the a cohort of women uh, on the average are having only enough daughter to replace themselves in the population. Aging population means like in we are able uh, we have read in many newspapers. We come across this news that the population of Japan, elderly population in Japan is very high. Like the population, India's population is a young population, and Japanese population and some European countries are facing this issue of aging population. So aging population means when the elderly population increases increases, it comes under aging population. So in many European country, the fertility rate decline. Like fertility and mortality both are low. That's why their aging population is uh, increasing day by day. Like in Japan, there are many people who are very old. Uh, Urbanization, growth in the proportion of a population living in urban area. Family size. Family size refers to the number of children a woman or a couple has at a point of time. Zero population growth. A population in equilibrium having a growth rate zero, often when birth plus immigration equals death plus immigration. Population demographic transition. This transition theory form a relatively stable demographic regime with a high birth rate and death rate to a similarly stable regime with low birth rate and death rate is known as demographic transition. The basic demographic transition model postulates a deterministic cause link between the modernization. Oh, ये कोई पटाखा छोड़ा है यार, मैं तो डर ही जाती पटाखा मतलब मुझे दिल पे थोड़ा ऐसे लगता है धक्का पटाखा का आवाज। और वो वाले जो पटाखे होते हैं ना जो ऐसे मतलब वो जो थोड़ा ऐसे छिट छिट के नीचे आते हैं, बहुत सारे नीचे आते हैं, मुझे ऐसा फील होता है कि मेरे शरीर पे ही आके गिर जाएंगे, मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है। मतलब मुझे मतलब गिरेंगे नहीं पर मुझे ऐसा फील आता है कि ऐसे मेरे पे ही गिरने वाला है। तो पता नहीं कैसे ये लोग छोड़ते रहते हैं। मतलब पटाखे छोड़ना अच्छी बात है पर जब मैं छोटी थी ना तो क्या होता था कि पटाखे तो मुझे लगता था बहुत लोग तो बहुत पटाखे छोड़ते हैं, पर अब हमारे यहाँ कोई नहीं छोड़ता, मेरे दोनों भाई भी नहीं छोड़ते। हम सब लोग इको फ्रेंडली, इन्वायरमेंट फ्रेंडली, ओजोन फ्रेंडली ये सब चीजें हमारे लिए यूज किया जा सकता है। मतलब बहुत ही छोड़ते हैं ये लोग, पता नहीं कैसे। हमारे यहाँ कुछ दूर पे एक लड़की का दीपावली के दूसरे दिन छोटी बच्ची थी, उसका डेथ हो गया क्योंकि पटाखे से हार्ट अटैक आ गया। तो मुझे भी थोड़ा सा तो आता ही है, छोड़ो यार, छड्डो। So phase 1 indicates an area with a high birth rate and high death rate, equivalent to pre-industrial era. Phase 2 indicate a high birth rate and declining death rate. Phase 3 indicate a declining birth rate and relatively low death rate. Phase 4 with low birth rate and death rate. Sources of demographic data: national census register of certain vital events, spatial sample surveys, official records. This is the definition of census given by United Nations. A census of population may be defined as a total process of collecting, compiling, evaluating, analyzing, and publishing demographic, economic, and social data pertaining at a particular time to all the person in a defined territory. Defined territory. The coverage of a census population should relate to a precisely defined territory. So yeah. De facto method and de zero method I have discussed in my one video. Okay. De facto method is enumeration of individual as of where they are found in the census, regardless of where they normally reside. Like uh, in de facto method, we collect data from uh, uh, that person wherever that person without without knowing the residence of that person, or we collect data anywhere. And in a de zero method, enumeration of individual as of where they usually reside, regardless of where they are on census day. Field enumeration, direct enumeration, household enumeration, you can read from here. Post enumeration survey in 1951 census, government of India, for the first time government of India conducted post enumeration survey in census 1951. In order to check the quality of the data of census, a re-enumeration is undertaken on a sample basis. From this, an idea of the error already occurred in the census is obtained. So these are the things you can read from here. Indian census, the for the first time Kautilya in the 3rd BC, and history of census is very old in India, from Aina Akbari to Kautilya. First time synchronous and non-synchronous census was conducted in India in 1872, and synchronous in 1881. The organization body of census in India is Registrar General and Chief Census Commissioner. So this is the formula for coverage error: P2 minus P1 minus bracket birth plus death plus immigration minus in-migration minus out-migration. Household size, total population by total number of household is ये फॉर्मूला तो हम हमेशा भूल जाते हैं, पर इसको याद किया मैंने. So misreporting, many people are not comfortable in revealing their age, so they many times so these error occur. Whipple index, the Whipple index consider the relative preference of digits 0 and 5 in the reporting age interval 23 to 62. It is defined as Whipple index. This is the formula of Whipple index, and these are the limitations of Whipple index. Mayer's index approach is to drive a blended population to overcome the decreasing nature of the population curve and to calculate heaping at each age using the entire age span. लगता है आज किसी का शादी वादी हो रहा है, इसीलिए पटाखे, बारात होगा, मैं भी ऐसे होता है. The first step is to write this, like by following this method you can calculate the blended population, and this is the formula for calculating Mayer's index. After calculating the blended population, United Nations Index, an index to measure tendencies bias developed by UN Population Division, makes use of age distribution in 5-year age intervals separately for males and females, and consists of three components, namely average sex ratio score, average male age ratio score, and average female age ratio score. It considers age group from 0 to 4 to 65 to 69. Age group 5px by 1 by 2, 5px minus 5 plus 5px plus 5. And this is the formula for calculating UN index: 35 plus male plus female. 3 as plus male plus female. So this is the Chandrasekhar Deming method. This is based on dual system of registering vital status. This was also applied in uh, SRS, registration, dual system of registering vital statistics. So this is the method by which we can calculate. You can read from here. The sample registration system is initiated in 1964 by the Registrar General of India, and yeah, NSS was National Sample Survey was started in 1951. NFHS first was conducted in 1992, 1993, 1990. Yeah, this is fertility refers to the actual birth performance of a couple. Yeah. Fecundability, the probability of conception in 1 unit of time of exposure when both the partners are biologically fit. And fecundity, the physiological capacity of a woman or a couple to reproduce a child. Sterility, the inability of a couple to procreate. So, and primary sterility, if a female is primary sterile if and only if she cannot change her status from parity zero, like if she will never able to procreate, this means she is a primary sterile. Secondary sterile, if she become sterile after one birth, like birth of first child, then it comes under secondary sterility. Fetal wastage, a consumption which may not always result in live birth, and those and the outcome of pregnancy that ends in a spontaneous or induced abortion or the stillbirth comes under this. Like all the conception always may not always result in a live birth. There are many things which can happen in between live birth and conception. So that comes under fetal wastage. Non-suspectable period, after getting conception, the menstruation cycle of woman stops, and this conception results in a live or stillbirth. Generally it is of 9 months, and that duration is called gestation period. After termination of pregnancy, woman waits for some time for the resumption of menstruation. This duration is known as postpartum amenorrhea period. After pregnancy, so yeah, postpartum amenorrhea period. The sum of gestation and postpartum amenorrhea period is called non-suspectable period. And in this period, woman cannot conceive. Like in this period, she will not conceive further. Parity. The number of children ever born to a woman is referred to her parity. That is, women who have had two children ever born are two parity. And zero parity means if a woman had not any children, had no children. Mm. Birth order, when the total number of births at a particular point of time is classified according to occurrence or order, the rank, like if one child first childbirth, first birth order, like this. Fertility starts at about 15 years, like menarche, like onset of menstruation is called menarche. And and menopause means when the menstruation cycle of women stops permanently, then it comes under menopause, and it starts at the age of 40, 45, 49, 49 up, 15 to 49 is the menstruation cycle of a woman, according to demographic book, like yeah, according to science. Natural fertility, fertility which exists without any hindrance in the reproduction period, that is in the absence of any birth control. Mm, Controlled fertility, fertility which is obtained after some deliberate use of birth control. Cohort measure of fertility. In this approach, fertility is compiled indirectly on the basis of data on the number of children ever born to women up to a certain period of time in the reproductive age group. अरे यार ये सब छोड़ो. These are the period measure of fertility: crude birth rate, general fertility rate. These are the formula: general marital fertility rate, age specific fertility rate, total fertility rate. So these are the formulas. Parity progression ratio. It indicates the extent to which women progress from one parity to the next. Like you can read from here. छोड़ो यार. इसको क्या बताना? Bongard's method, approximate determinant of fertility. Bongard's 1979 has refined the list of the intermediate variables suggested by Davis and Blackie. He has come out with a list of 8 variables and termed as approximate determinant of fertility, that is marriage, conception, induced abortion, lactational infecundability, frequency of intercourse, spontaneous intrauterine mortality, sterility, duration of fertile period. Cm equal to index of marriage. It equals 1 if all women of reproductive age are married and 0 in the absence of marriage. Cc equal to index of contraception, equal 1 in the absence of contraception and 0 of all if all found women are 100% effective. 100% women use 100% effective contraception. Ca index of induced abortion equals 1 in the absence of induced abortion and 0 if all pregnancies are aborted. And this is the Ci index of lactation and fecundity. And you can read these formulas from here. I think this is important and this is also, and this is, yeah. Uh, Gross reproduction rate. Number of female birth of age X during the given period by FPX, like all female population. Gross reproduction indicates number of daughters would be born on the average to each of a group of a female beginning life together, supporting none of them died before reaching the end of a childbearing period. And in net reproduction rate, we considered about the fact that some girls will die before reaching the reproductive stage, like net reproduction rate is less than equal to gross reproduction rate, and net reproduction rate exactly one means exact replacement. These are the formulas for death rate, age specific death rate. Neonatal death to infants uh, during the first 4 week of life are known as neonatal death. Like in the death under 28 days by number of birth in the given year. Like these are the same. You can skip. Infant mortality death under a year by live birth in a year. Are neonatal death death under 1 week. Late death after 20, like death within 1 to 4 weeks. Post neonatal death after 28 days to 52 weeks. Life table. The history of mortality analysis goes back to the work of John Grant, 1662, in the late 17th century, and even to Roman times. Like this is the life table are of two types, namely complete average life table and yeah, that is it. Complete life table and average life table. These are the columns of life table. Migration, change in a person's permanent or unusual place of residence. International migration involving a move from one country to another. Internal Internal migration, a move within a country. Immigrants, people who move away from a population and their move involves crossing an international boundary. Out migrants, people who move away from a population and their move does not involve crossing an international boundary. Immigrants who population who come move into a population are called immigrants if they crossed an international boundary. And immigrants who move away from a population and cross international boundary, immigrants population move into. Immigrants who people who move into a population are called immigrants. Migration stream, the flow of migrants between any two places, it's called migration stream. Gross migration, the total amount of migration between the two places, Mij plus Mji. Net migration, the net effect of two population. Opposite in flow, two opposite flow is called net migration. And these are the formulas. Ravenstein law of migration, 1885. Migration and distance, these are the things. Migration by stages, stream and counter stream. Urban rural difference in propensity to migrate. These are the things. Least theory of migration, like which attract individual towards a particular places are pluses, and which and pull factor, those which uh, drive them away from are minuses. Factor associated with area of origin, like plus factor, push factor, factor associated with area of destination, pull factor, intervening obstacle, positional factor. These are the things of. I think this is not important. Chip's theory is important. In the early 1940s, the gravity concept was generalized by Giff. He theorized that migration between two places was directly proportional to the product of the population of these two places and inversely proportional to the distance between them. Migration between two places are directly proportional to the product of the population, inversely proportional to the distance between them. These are the things. अरे पीछे तो कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट था. Stable population, this is the definition of stable population. The stationary population. skip. These are the things. Thank you so much. Bye.